Did you know that the United States is the largest incarcerator in the world? Nearly 2 million people are imprisoned in state and federal prisons and other facilities across the country. To put it another way, for every 100,000 people living in the United States, 565 of them are incarcerated. Meanwhile, around 50 million kids are enrolled in public schools from kindergarten through 12th grade, but many states are spending more money to incarcerate people than to educate children. Now, there are a few reasons for this. For one, compare the workload of teachers to that of prison personnel. A public school teacher in the United States handles around 20 students on average. On the other hand, guards in prisons and jails oversee around 5 incarcerated people each, and the number can end up being even lower in states like New York and California, where each guard might be responsible for 2 individuals. Now, that's a vast difference between the job responsibilities of public school teachers and prison guards, but this disparity in funding demonstrates how the United States prioritizes the criminal legal system over education, investing a lot of money and resources that could be put to more productive use. A 2019 study found that nearly every state spends more on an individual incarcerated person than a single public school student, and the difference can be staggering. California, the most populous state, had the highest prison spending in the country at $8.6 billion, which translates to an average of $64,642 per inmate. In comparison, the state only spent about $11,495 per student in schools, a difference of more than $53,000. That means California could send at least 5 kids to school for every person who was incarcerated in the state. It was the biggest difference in the country, but others weren't far behind. New York spent about $22,366 per public school pupil, the most of any state, but it also spent the most per incarcerated person at $69,355. That's an almost $46,989 difference, and even in the extremely expensive New York, that money could make a major impact on the quality of education. And before you think this only happens in big bureaucratic blue states, there are plenty of less densely populated areas that show the same pattern. North Dakota, for example, has one of the lowest prison populations in the US, and only spent a relatively sparse $65.5 million on incarceration, which translates to $38,601 per person. However, the state also has the second lowest education budget in the country, with almost $13,373 spent per student, a more than $25,000 gap that could go a long way in the Peace Garden state. From bustling metros to quiet countrysides, teachers and students are desperate for more resources that are instead getting sucked up into incarceration costs. The U.S. has prioritized prisons over pupils for far too long, and it's past time for us to invest in our future potential instead of punishment.